masjid-masjid di Jerman ditutup dan dirubuhkan, ngeri ya. Buntut dari pro Palestina ya, Inggris mendeportasi beberapa ya udah mulai dilakukan deportasi ya orang-orang yang ikut terlibat, yang imigran yang terlibat dalam demonstrasi, dan Jerman merubuhkan masjid-masjid yang berafiliasi dengan Hizbullah dan dengan gerakan Houthi ya. Wah, ini serem sekali. Coba kita cek ya.
Interior Ministry said it had placed a ban on the Islamic Center Hamburg and its subsidiary organizations on Wednesday for allegedly pursuing radical Islamist goals and supporting Iran and Hezbollah. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said that she banned the Islamic Center as it was promoting Islamist extremist totalitarian ideology in Germany, and that this Islamist ideology is opposed to human dignity, women's rights, an independent judiciary, and our democratic government. Faeser added that the ban was not an act against a religion. The ministry stated that 53 of the organization's premises in 8 German states were searched early on Wednesday under a court order. It also added that the IZH promoted anti-Semitism and acted as a direct representative of Iran's supreme leader, seeking to bring an Islamic revolution in Germany. 4 Shiite mosques were closed as a result of the ban, including the Hamburg-based IZH and its subgroups in Berlin, Frankfurt, and Munich.
Serem ya. Satu ya, jadi semua yang terafiliasi dengan gerakan dari Iran dan Hezbollah ditutup ya. Yang pertama ini tadi ya ada dirobohkan ya, mana ya? Yang ditunjukin ya waktu dirobohkan itu ya saudara, ya mulai dicongkelin satu-satu ya. Sebentar ya, kayaknya ini deh.
In full view television cameras, Germany's police, collectively known as the Islamic Center.
Ya.
In full view television cameras, Germany's police raided this mosque in Hamburg. The German government says it's a front for Iran. The Interior Ministry says the organization has 5 subdivisions in 53 locations across Germany, collectively known as the Islamic Center Hamburg or IZH. The Interior Ministry goes on to say it's not a charitable organization, but a direct front for the supreme leader of Iran. The case has even prompted a response from the Interior Minister.
It is now certain that the Islamic Center Hamburg acts and is directed against our constitutional order. That is why we are applying one of the sharpest weapons of our law to ban this organization. This is a further consequent step against Islamist extremism. It is very important to me to make a clear distinction. We are not acting against a religion.
In November, the Germans said they established a direct link between the Islamic Center of Hamburg and Hezbollah, and that is what led to the raid now. That evidence has not been made public. Iran has now summoned a German ambassador in Tehran.
Nobody has been arrested, so I think escalation has not reached a peak, and it might not. It is understandable that Iran summons the ambassador, but I think the diplomatic exchange on this will deliver further results that can then form a consistent politics.
In 2020, Germany declared Hezbollah a terrorist organization and banned it in the country. The Islamic Center of Hamburg has long been under observation by Germany's domestic intelligence agency. The center has said in the past it condemns every form of violence and extremism and has always advocated peace, tolerance and interreligious dialogue. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera.
Saudara, ini jadi kita sekarang Israel pun lagi nunggu Donald Trump karena Joe Biden ini munafik juga ya, si Joe Biden ini ya. Jadinya Israel justru malah nggak bisa bergerak bebas sih dengan Joe Biden. Tapi kalau Donald Trump itu benar-benar full support terhadap Israel. Jadi sekarang ini ya menjadi pertaruhan besar ya bagi Israel. Nah di Jerman sendiri kalau Anda lihat ada di beberapa kota ya, di Hamburg, di Frankfurt, tadi satunya saya lupa tadi ya. Ada 3 di kota di Jerman, masjid-masjid itu dibredel ya. Ditutup, dibredel. Yang pertama dirubuhkan yang di Hamburg ini. Masjid paling besar di Hamburg ya. Mereka sudah mulai menyadari, dan tadi kalau kita lihat di Inggris, di Swedia juga, ya mulai diusir ya orang-orang Islam ini ya. Mulai diusir, di revoke ya, visanya itu dibatalkan, dan disuruh pulang ya saudara ya. Tadi bahkan dalam beberapa perdebatan tadi juga bilang, kamu pulang aja. Kenapa kamu tidak membangun negaramu sendiri? Gitu ya. Luar biasa ya. Waduh, ini ngeri sekali ya. Nah, ini sebentar. Terima kasih Ong Bak buat sawerannya. Saudara, kalau Anda melihat ya trennya sekarang ini di seluruh Eropa ya, memang ada beberapa arus ya yang disuap rupanya disuap oleh orang-orang Islam untuk membela orang-orang Islam, Hamas ya, untuk membela Hamas. Tetapi ternyata hanya sedikit saja ya. Rata-rata seluruh Eropa sepakat, apalagi untuk Belanda konsisten ya, Belanda sama Jerman ini konsisten sekali ya. Untuk apa? Untuk menolak Islam, menolak Hamas juga. Dan sudah dianggap teroris ya, Hezbollah segala macam. Tapi kan dilulukan oleh Indonesia ya, Hezbollah, Hamas itu organisasi teroris ini. Nah, kemarin kita membahas waktu lalu tentang bagaimana Israel akan mengundang Bu Koni, Pak Panji Gumilang, Syekh Panji dan Pak Ponto ya akan diundang. Saya memang merekomendasi mereka supaya bisa diundang ya untuk bicara dengan lantang, dengan keras, bicara tentang Israel ya dan bicara tentang Indonesia. Ya, mudah-mudahan tidak ada aral melintang, sebab ini sekarang kondisinya makin genting sekali ya. Makin genting bukan buat Israelnya, tapi buat Indonesia. Dan tadi saya tunjukkan pada Anda ya, bahwa masjid sudah orang-orang ini kan pada, sesumbar banyak orang Eropa jadi Islam ya. Sekarang masjidnya dirobohkan itu loh. Masjidnya dirobohkan. Supaya dia jangan sesumbar orang-orang Islam ini percaya, aduh, ngeri ya. Ngeri ya, saudara ya. Nah, ini kita cek lagi ya,
Came from no exceptions. The Party for Freedom leader also called for a sweeping overhaul of the Netherlands social welfare system, arguing that it has been exploited by immigrants who come to the country primarily to take advantage of generous benefits. The days of the free ride are over, Wilders said. If you want to live in the Netherlands, you will work, you will pay taxes, and you will respect our laws and customs. Wilders concluded his speech by rallying his supporters to join him in the...
You are no Europeans, and you will never be. All the values Europe stands for, freedom, democracy, human rights, are incompatible with Islam. European governments that agree with this will be voted out of office.
Geert Wilders has expressed his views about Islamists in Europe and has made a message to all of them in most of his speeches.
Intinya semua nilai-nilai dalam Islam itu tidak sesuai dengan nilai-nilai di Eropa ya. Human rights ya, hak-hak manusia, freedom, kemerdekaan. Tadi ya, itu semua ya bukan Islam. Jadi dibilang kamu bukan Eropa, kamu pulang ya, suruh pulang sama ini.
Turkey voted for Erdogan, a dangerous Islamist who raises the flag of Islam.
Yeah.
We do not want more, but less Islam.
In today's video, I will analyze everything Geert Wilders said, but I want to note that not everyone will endorse or agree with the views expressed. Hence, this video is an analysis of what Geert Wilders said about Islamists in Europe. So, before we begin, if you've not already, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for upcoming updates. Now, let's begin with his first statement. In the first place, he said...
Well, forget it. You are no Europeans, and you will never be.
The Turks and other Islamists in Europe, your government is fooling you into believing that one day you will become a member of the European Union. Well, forget it, you are no Europeans, and you will never be. Looking at what he said, simply residing in Europe does not automatically confer a European identity or culture. Islamist immigrants have fundamentally different cultural religious values that prevent full assimilation, hence granting EU citizenship to Islamists may be a threat to European identity and unity. Additionally, governments are being overly optimistic about the ability of Islamists to become full participants in European society while ignoring the concerns of native European citizens. Also, granting EU citizenship to Islamists could give them disproportionate political influence because Islamist voting blocs could sway policies in ways that undermine European values and interests. On the other hand, critics argue that his statements appear to express a negative sentiment towards Islamists in Europe and the possibility of them becoming members of the European Union. His statements categorically state that Islamists in Europe are no Europeans and they will never be. This is an exclusionary and prejudiced sentiment that denies the possibility of Islamists in Europe being accepted as European. Overall, the statements reflect an intolerant and biased perspective that rejects the idea of Islamists in Europe being accepted as full Europeans or potential EU members. The language used is divisive and dehumanizing, rather than promoting understanding and inclusion. A more constructive approach would be to have a thoughtful dialogue about the complex issues of immigration, identity and belonging in Europe. The second part of his statement says,
An Islamic state like Turkey does not belong to Europe. All the values Europe stands for, freedom, democracy, human rights, are incompatible with Islam.
An Islamic state like Turkey does not belong to Europe. All the values Europe stands for, freedom, democracy, human rights, are incompatible with Islam. We do not want visa-free travel for Turks coming to Europe, either. The key claims made in the statement are: Turkey, as an Islamic state, does not belong in Europe. The core European values of freedom, democracy, and human rights are incompatible with Islam. Europe should not allow visa-free travel for Turkish citizens. These claims reflect a few concerning themes. The statement categorically rejects the idea of a predominantly Muslim country like Turkey being part of Europe, based solely on its Islamic identity. This reflects a bigoted view that Islam is inherently incompatible with European values. Claiming that all of Islam is incompatible with democracy, freedom, and human rights is a vast oversimplification. The relationship between religion, culture, and political systems is much more nuanced.
Serem ya.
The demand to deny visa-free travel for Turks suggests an exclusionary, nationalist agenda that seeks to limit the mobility and integration of a specific ethnic religious group. Overall, critics argue that the statement promotes an intolerant, xenophobic, and factually questionable perspective. It reflects a concerning trend of rising right-wing populism and Islamophobia in parts of Europe. A more constructive approach would involve nuanced, evidence-based discussion of the challenges and potential paths forward for Turkey's relationship with the EU. His last statement states that
European governments that agree with this will be voted out of office by the people. Turkey voted for Erdogan, a dangerous Islamist who raises the flag of Islam. We do not want more, but less Islam.
European governments that agree with this will be voted out of office by the people. Turkey voted for Erdogan, a dangerous Islamist who raises the flag of Islam. We do not want more, but less Islam. Analyzing the statement. The threat of governments being voted out suggests an attempt to pressure policymakers through fear-mongering rather than reasoned debate. Labeling Erdogan as a dangerous Islamist and calling for less Islam reflects an alarmist, Islamophobic perspective. It presents Islam as an inherent threat, rather than acknowledging its diversity. The claim that the people of Europe want less Islam implies a tyranny of the majority, disregarding the rights and perspectives of minority communities. Reducing Turkey's democratic process to a binary choice between Erdogan the Islamist and European interests is a gross oversimplification of a nuanced geopolitical situation. Overall, critics say the statement promotes an intolerant, nationalist, and factually dubious narrative. It reflects a concerning trend of right-wing populism that scapegoats minority groups and seeks to limit pluralism. A more constructive approach would involve nuanced, evidence-based debate about the challenges.
Ya, ini mengerikan sekali ya. Orang-orang anak-anak, orang tua yang imigran Turki, mereka pada benci Erdogan. Tapi anak-anaknya rupanya di masjid dicekokin ya. Sehingga mereka, anak-anak muda ini memuja Erdogan ya. Kalau Anda tanya sama anak-anak Turki, ya anak-anak Turki yang ada di Belanda, anak-anak mudanya itu memuja Erdogan ya. Orang tuanya lari dari Erdogan. Ini kan aneh kan? Kenapa kalian dicekokin di masjid? Ya. Wah, Erdogan ini baik lah, inilah begitu. Padahal orang tuanya di penjara digebukin sama Erdogan itu ya. Tapi anak-anaknya memuja-muja Erdogan ini. Karena goblok-goblok anak-anak ini ya. Mahasiswa tolol-tolol semua ini ya. Mahasiswa kadrun ini. Ya mungkin asal Islam jadi tolol aja pokoknya. Makanya kemarin kemarin di Inggris, di mana tuh dicabut visanya di Inggris itu ya. Di revoke katanya, dipulangkan. Di Amerika sudah ya. Supaya ini Anda update, mengerti ya. Nah,